7:46 a.m. local time, October 22nd, 2025. South China Sea. The morning sky glows a pale shade of gold, and the ocean stretches out like a calm, endless mirror. It's the kind of peaceful scene that can make the sea seem quiet and harmless. On the bridge of the USS Higgins, DDG-76, the watch crew moves through their usual routine. Coffee cups sit near the consoles. Low conversations drift across the room. Electronics hum softly in the background. Then the radar operator suddenly straightens in his chair. New contact, bearing 275, closing fast. The captain steps behind the radar display. A single green pulse appears on the screen. Then another. The track line shows the contact cutting straight across the destroyer's projected path. No AIS signal, no identification. Within seconds, the relaxed rhythm on the bridge disappears. Over the speaker system, a sharp voice with a heavy accent breaks through the static. U.S. warship, you are in Chinese waters. Leave immediately. The bridge falls silent. Outside, the South China Sea looks perfectly calm, almost like glass. Beyond the horizon lies Scarborough Shoal, a ring of half-submerged coral claimed by Beijing, Manila, and the sea itself. Washington considers these international waters. Beijing calls them sovereign territory. Log the transmission, the captain orders. Respond on open channel, standard phrasing. The communications officer keys the microphone. His voice is calm and precise. Unidentified vessel, this is a United States warship conducting lawful transit through international waters. No interference required. No answer comes back. But seconds later, two new radar contacts appear. Bigger, faster, moving together in tight formation. From the starboard bridge wing, binoculars confirm what the radar already suggests. Two Chinese Type 052D destroyers. Their bows slice through the calm water, leaving long white trails behind them. Speed, 27 knots. Closing. On deck, sailors pause in the middle of their work. The atmosphere shifts, heavier now, thick with salt air and quiet tension. Inside the Combat Information Center, status boards begin to fill with data. Every radio call, every bearing change, every movement is recorded automatically. It's part of the Navy's strict protocol for encounters like this. Warn, document, de-escalate. CPA, the captain asks. Closest point of approach, 1.2 nautical miles and decreasing. The navigator replies, too close for comfort. Still, the Higgins holds her course and speed. Freedom of navigation procedures leave no room for aggressive moves, but no room for backing down either. Her SPY-1D radar continues sweeping the horizon, building a digital map of every contact within 200 miles. The crew knows exactly what kind of ship they're on. An Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, 155 meters of steel and advanced systems, carrying more capability than the full fleet of some smaller nations. But today isn't about showing power, it's about control. Outside, the first Chinese destroyer moves into view. Its gray hull flashes in the morning light as it cuts across the waves. Through binoculars, sailors can be seen lined along the rails, cameras pointed directly at the Higgins. Their wake spreads beside the American ship in perfect parallel, a clear signal of presence and pressure. Bridge to combat. Maintain MCON 3. Record all emissions. Electronic warfare operators confirm faint radar signals coming from the Chinese ship. Surface search mode only, not targeting systems. Not yet. More like a tap on the shoulder than a serious move. Then the radio crackles again. U.S. vessel, you are intruding into Chinese waters. Alter course immediately, or you will bear responsibility for all consequences. Still, the Higgins stays steady. The captain leans over the chart table. We're 25 miles from the shoal, he says quietly. Still outside any recognized territorial limit, maintain course, no deviations. Now the tension is impossible to miss. Sailors glance back and forth between radar screens and the sea beyond the bridge windows. Even the ventilation fans seem louder than before. Every small action feels amplified. The turn of a wheel, the tap of a pen, the soft hiss of the intercom. CIC, mark recording time, the captain says. Time mark, 7:53. Flag every transmission for intelligence review. A petty officer nods and begins typing, logging the data line by line. Outside the bridge windows, the two Chinese destroyers have perfectly matched the Higgins speed. They're close enough now that sunlight reflects off their hull numbers. No weapons are visibly active, but the message is obvious. Pressure through proximity. Inside the Higgins, discipline never breaks. No raised voices, no sudden movements. The crew has trained for moments like this countless times. Every log entry, every radar sweep, every unanswered radio call becomes part of a detailed record, proof of calm professionalism under pressure. At 7:58 a.m., the captain walks toward the window and watches the two warships gliding alongside his destroyer. "Keep recording," he says quietly. "Let them make the next move." The radar continues its steady pulse. The ocean remains calm, but in the quiet space between radio transmissions, everyone aboard understands exactly what's happening. This is a test of resolve, not fought with missiles, but with patience. And somewhere beyond the reef line of Scarborough Shoal, the next major maritime standoff may have just begun. 8:09 a.m., local time, South China Sea. From a distance, the ocean looks peaceful, almost perfectly blue under the morning sky. But the radar picture tells another story. The two Chinese Type 052D destroyers have shifted positions. One now holds off the Higgins' starboard quarter, while the second slowly moves ahead of her beam. They're forming a box. In naval terms, it's called a shadow escort, a controlled maneuver designed to limit movement without direct confrontation. Inside the Combat Information Center, the room hums with quiet concentration. Displays glow in shades of green and amber as dozens of contacts move across the digital map. Voices remain calm and precise. "Contact Red 1 holding at 600 yards, reports the Surface Watch. Red 2 closing, 300 yards and narrowing. "Copy," the Tactical Action Officer replies. "Maintain course. Log all movements." On the bridge, the captain stands still at the center of the room, arms folded, eyes fixed on the digital chart. "No deviation," he says. "We stay predictable." Outside, the nearest Chinese destroyer looms close enough for the crew to clearly see deck markings and hull numbers. Two Type 730C IWS turrets rotate slowly in idle mode. Silent. Visible. A reminder of what both ships are capable of. Then the radio crackles again. "U.S. warship, you are violating Chinese sovereignty. Turn away immediately." The Higgins responds once more, voice calm and practiced. "This is a United States warship conducting lawful transit through international waters under international law. We intend no harm and will maintain our course." Then the channel goes quiet again. No escalation, no aggressive movement. Between the ships, the sea begins to churn white from propeller wash. Each vessel makes tiny adjustments to hold position without crossing into dangerous territory. On radar, the CPA, closest point of approach, drops below 500 yards. For two destroyers traveling at around 20 knots, that distance feels razor thin. On deck, sailors at observation posts keep cameras running. Every second of the encounter is being documented. Inside the electronic warfare station, the ship's SLQ-32 system detects brief radar signals. Short bursts, low power. Possible fire control testing from the Chinese side. Not enough to trigger countermeasures, but enough to make everyone pay closer attention. The executive officer leans toward the captain. "They're painting us, sir." "Short bursts." "Record it," the captain replies calmly. No reaction. To an outside observer, the Higgins might appear almost motionless. In reality, the ship is performing a careful dance of micro-adjustments, 1 or 2 degrees on the rudder, tiny throttle changes, maintaining safe spacing without appearing evasive. Above them, the Aegis SPY-1D radar continues sweeping the horizon, tracking every nearby contact. If a hostile signal appears, the system can switch from observation to defense in seconds. On the flight deck, a Seahawk helicopter waits fueled and ready, its rotor blades still secured. Inside the ready room, the aircrew sits with headsets on. If the situation changes, they'll be airborne in under 3 minutes. At 8:21 a.m., the Chinese destroyer astern suddenly accelerates. It surges forward, closing the distance to less than 300 yards. Its bow wave throws spray across the hull of the Higgins. Bridge, CIC, contact Red 2, crossing CPA, 280 yards and closing. The captain speaks calmly. "Helm 5 degrees port, maintain speed." The destroyer shifts slightly, carving a smooth arc that widens the distance just enough. The maneuver looks simple. It isn't. One wrong calculation and two multi-billion-dollar warships could collide. Across the water, sailors on the Chinese deck hold cameras, recording everything. A red flag flutters above them. The purpose is clear. Footage that could later be used to show an American destroyer appearing to yield. But the camera misses one important detail. The Higgins hasn't changed course at all. From a distance, it only looks like the Higgins turned away. In reality, the ship hasn't changed course at all. The angle of the sea simply creates the illusion. Inside the Combat Information Center, the electronic warfare operator suddenly speaks up, picking up encrypted chatter between Red 1 and Red 2. Short bursts of communication. No translation yet. Keep recording, the tactical action officer replies. We'll analyze it later. The minutes begin to stretch. The tension in the room isn't dramatic or loud, it's precise, controlled. Every sailor knows the rules of engagement by memory. Weapons remain tight. Respond only to clear, hostile intent. One wrong decision here could trigger consequences far beyond the ships themselves. Then something changes. The lead Chinese destroyer shifts slightly to starboard, sliding closer, just a few hundred feet away, before leveling out again. Its engines rumble through the water like distant thunder. Through the bridge windows, the crews of both ships can see each other clearly now. Faces behind glass, framed by salt spray and steel. For a few silent seconds, two nations are looking directly at one another across open water. CIC, mark the time, the captain says quietly. 8:29. The captain watches for a moment longer. That's as close as they'll get. And he's right. Gradually, the Chinese ships begin easing back. Their throttles drop. The distance between the vessels slowly widens as their wakes stretch across the water. The message has already been delivered. Neither side said anything beyond the scripted radio lines. No collisions, no weapons used, just careful restraint. And the quiet understanding that next time the margin could be even smaller. 9:42 a.m. local time. The ocean looks calm again, but the atmosphere aboard the USS Higgins is still alert. On the radar display, two fading echoes slide west toward the horizon. The Chinese destroyers are pulling away. For the crew, it's the moment they can finally take a deeper breath, though no one fully relaxes out here. Even withdrawal can be strategic. Contact's opening range, reports the Combat Information Center. Closest point recorded, 270 yards. Copy, the captain replies. Secure from general quarters. His voice stays calm, though slightly tired. From the bridge, Scarborough Shoal is invisible in the morning haze. Beneath the surface lies little more than coral and rock in shallow turquoise water. Yet on the geopolitical map, it carries enormous weight. Every inch of it is claimed, debated, and defended. For Beijing, it is Huangyandao. Territory, they say, has belonged to China for centuries. For Manila, it lies within the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone, supported by the 2016 Hague Tribunal ruling. For Washington, it sits in international waters that must remain open for global navigation. 3 different claims, 1 small reef, and countless ways for tensions to rise. By mid-morning, the Higgins continues her freedom of navigation route, holding steady at 15 knots, heading north by east. The encounter is already being archived. Logs are sealed. Radar data and radio transmissions are encrypted and sent for review by U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. The ship's intelligence officer classifies the event as routine shadowing. Technically accurate, but everyone aboard knows the story is more complicated than that. Hours later, China's Southern Theater Command releases an official statement on state television. Chinese naval forces, it says, monitored, warned, and drove away a U.S. destroyer that illegally entered territorial waters near Huangyandao. The wording is deliberate. Drove away. Strong, confident language designed for a domestic audience. No video footage is released, but the message is clear. The government defends its waters. In Washington, the Pentagon responds with equal precision. The USS Higgins, officials state, conducted a routine freedom of navigation operation in accordance with international law. No unsafe or unprofessional actions occurred. Every word is carefully chosen. Routine, lawful, professional. Diplomatic language acting like a firewall against further escalation. For news outlets around the world, the encounter quickly becomes another headline. Another symbol of growing tension in the region. For the sailors aboard the Higgins, it becomes something simpler. Another entry in the ship's logbook. But behind the carefully measured statements from both sides, the deeper implications remain impossible to ignore. This marked the first time in 6 years that a U.S. destroyer sailed within 12 nautical miles of Scarborough Shoal. The timing wasn't accidental. Just 3 months earlier, the Philippines expanded its Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement with the United States, granting American forces access to 4 additional bases across the island of Luzon. Beijing reacted quickly. More patrols appeared in the region. Maritime enforcement vessels increased their presence. Naval ships began showing the flag more frequently across the contested waters. The encounter with the Higgins fits directly into that pattern. It wasn't a battle. It was a carefully measured signal. Every maneuver had meaning. Every radio transmission carried weight. Even the silence between them mattered. For Beijing, the goal was to demonstrate control. For Washington, the mission was to reinforce the principle of open navigation. And for Manila, watching closely from the sidelines, it served as reassurance that the United States still operates where it says it will. Back aboard the Higgins, the crew gathers later for a debrief. There's no celebration in the room, just quiet focus. They know this routine well. Document everything, analyze the details, prepare for the next encounter. The electronic warfare officer reviews each radar signal detected from the Chinese ships. The intelligence officer tags data packets that may help during future operations. The ship's log records the outcome in simple terms. No injuries, no damage, no deviation from course, only professionalism under pressure. Still, the larger questions remain. How close can two rival navies operate before a single miscalculation changes everything? And how long can these routine encounters stay routine? Outside, the sea sparkles under the sun, indifferent to the tensions above it. The Higgins moves forward through the water, white spray curling along her bow. The engines hum with a steady, mechanical rhythm. For now, the situation remains calm. But beneath that calm, the competition continues. Satellites track ships from orbit. Aircraft monitor patrol routes from above. Each side carefully maps the movements of the other. The South China Sea has become something like a giant chessboard, where the pieces are made of steel and the rules shift with every move. In this game, victory isn't about who acts first. It's about who keeps sailing when the other side hesitates. The camera fades on the destroyer's wake, stretching across the blue water, straight, narrow, and perfectly defined. So the question remains, do these encounters make conflict more likely, or are they the price of keeping some of the world's most contested waters open? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy detailed naval stories like this, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Fair winds and following seas. See you in the next story.